All right. Hey, it is Mike. I am very excited to be joined by Kent, who has to be the number one Rickey Henderson collector in the world. Kent, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And let me correct you. There's no way I am the largest, but there's some amazing Rickey Henderson fans out there. I'm just blessed to be a part of it. And some of my close friends are by far and away blow out my card collections. But again, we're all in it for fun, and I'm just happy to be able to spread the Rickey love. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Brent, I think you know Brent, who is
Yep.
a longtime subscriber of my channel, emails me occasionally with some good Rickey stories and cards, and he came to me with the Blacklist story, and I said, "Hey, I should have you on and show off your Rickey Henderson collection." He said, "No, no, no. I don't have the best. You have to have Kent on."
Oh.
And so, yeah, I mean, the reverence for you in by Brent was clear.
Well, I appreciate that. I think since I like to share my collection, I share a new item every single day on my Twitter and Instagram page. I'm not bashful to clearly show the man cave of steel. I certainly think that helps, but again, it's probably more so of the way I have things displayed. I'm blessed to have the space to do this. But yeah, I know for a fact because I've seen them. There's some amazing collections out there. I just love this hobby. I mean, that's why I've been at it for as long as I have. So that's very high praise, and I'm very humbled every time I hear it.
Yeah. So, talk to me. How did you get into collecting, Ricky? And you look like you're about my age, 40s.
Yep, 44. I'll be 45 the day after Christmas, and Ricky's going to be 65 on Christmas. So we're exactly 20 years apart in one day.
Yeah. So, and I don't mean to insult you to say you look as old as me. Sorry.
Hey, we have the same haircut.
Yeah. So, I am turning 45 about 6 weeks after you. So, yeah. How did you get into collecting Ricky?
So it all kind of started with 1987 tops. I didn't collect baseball cards before that. I was playing Little League baseball at the time, and Christmas morning, I wake up and there's this brown box underneath the Christmas tree, not even wrapped, and I didn't know what was inside that brown box. But my dad said that it's for me, so I opened it up and I saw a whole bunch of brown cards on the inside. I'm like, "What are these things?" And then literally, it was the first time I probably ever laid eyes on baseball cards, let alone a complete set of 1987 top, which I didn't even know at the time. Like, what's a complete set even mean? So that was literally kind of the beginning, because what I did when I got that set is I started to collate it by teams or by colors, just by photos. As I'm starting to do it by player, I mean, Rickey Henderson had a lot of cards in that set. And it was kind of one of those moments where I paused, and I'm living in Kansas City, right? So I'm a Royals fan first and foremost. And so I get out all the Royals stuff and all that. Um, you know, but then I kept going back to Ricky's pile. And I'm like, why does this one guy have so many cards? I had no idea who Rickey Henderson was at this time. So I'm basically 9 years old. And I kind of paused and just said, this guy must be good if he's got this many cards. And I haven't stopped saying that since. So it all started with that. And then I really got kind of interested in, of course, at that time, it would have been the Yankees, which you were not a Yankees fan in Kansas City. You are frowned upon. Um, and plus, they were on super late because I'm in the Midwest. So I never got to see the Yankees on TV, unless it was, of course, it was a national game or they were coming into Kansas City to play the Royals. So it was really kind of hard to see Rickey, frankly, obviously newspapers and stuff. But I did everything I could to learn more about him, even at a young age. And it really started to come together actually when he got traded back to the Oakland A's in 1989, because then he was on that A's team that went to the World Series. And so he's on TV all the time. He's in the playoffs, just dominating all over sports, the newspapers and TV and everything else. So that was when the exposure to Rickey and my love for him grew exponentially. Because by then I'm a couple more years into Little League. I played left field. I led off. I couldn't hit worth a darn, but I could certainly bunt and I could get on base and I'd steal. So who are you going to pattern yourself after, right? Other than Rickey Henderson. So long story short, that's how it all came together.
This sounds so familiar to I mean, same exact age. I had 1986 tops in my collection when I dug out my childhood collection, but I really remember collecting starting in 87. So very
Yep.
similar. I loved Rickey Henderson as a kid. I remember SportsCenter would always do they would always highlight Rickey Henderson when he'd hit a home run, leadoff home run, because he was the all-time leader in leadoff home runs, which I don't know why that fascinated me, but it did. Yeah,
Pretty
I,
cool.
I,
Yeah.
I
I
love
love it.
Ricky. He's probably a top 10, top 15 player of all time.
Yep. If you ask me, yeah, I say easily top 10, and I would selfishly say even higher than that. But yeah, that's just I'm a little biased.
Yeah, that's okay. And being from Kansas City, it's interesting. Ricky played for 9 teams in his career and never Kansas City.
Never in the Midwest. So
Yeah,
I mean, it was all
right.
East Coast, all West Coast. I was always holding out hope that at some point he'd show up somewhere in the Midwest. But yeah, it just didn't happen. So um, again, it was awkward for me to watch games because it's either East Coast or West Coast times, and school and everything else. It just wasn't going to happen. So yeah, there was a lot of times where I would same thing, Sports Center, just wait for highlights and just get a little glimpse of what he did that night. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, just super electric, so fun to watch. I've always said Ricky is an entertainer first and foremost.
Yeah,
And oh, by the way, he's a hell of a baseball player.
yeah.
And when you have that mindset, which he did, you put those two things together, and he was in front of his time in terms of the swag, the uh, it came across as being cocky and everything else because frankly people hadn't seen that before. But that's just Ricky. That's just him being the entertainer. That's him having fun because I mean, you don't play for 25 years in Major League Baseball if you're not having fun. And that guy knew how to have fun. He could back it up on the field. So yeah, all that together, I just thought was the greatest thing ever. And then yeah, obviously his ability on the field is just absolutely incredible. Literally changed the game, which there's only a few players that can ever say that they've actually done that and defined a position in the game. What's a leadoff hitter? Oh, it's you want to be Rickey Henderson. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What's your favorite Ricky quote?
Man, that's tough. Um,
There are a lot of them.
Probably. Oh, there's tons of them, and like 50% of them are probably fake.
Yeah.
But there's so many stories with that guy. But probably the one where he's like, if I didn't get my jersey dirty, then I didn't do anything in the baseball game. So I mean, even as a kid, he knew if he came home and he wasn't absolutely filthy, and his mom didn't have to do his laundry, that he didn't really do anything that day. And that mindset with all those stolen bases carried him all the way through to the end. And I just love that because again, that's what it was all about. He was willing to do anything for the team. And all those head first slides. I mean, the wear and tear on the body, constantly diving back to first because everyone's trying to throw him out 1,000 times when he gets there, let alone second.
That's a good
Um,
point.
it's just incredible that he lasted as long as he did. And that body is just something else. Pretty incredible. And look at that guy right there. That's last week. That is not even a week old. So that's Ricky and I last Saturday in Petaluma, California. I flew in for a signing event that he was doing at a local card store there called the Strike Zone. And met up with some again close friends, huge Ricky collectors, and Ricky was just incredible. I mean, that there he is, going to be 65 on Christmas Day, and I swear he could go out there and play today. So just an absolutely amazing experience. We had so much fun.
He looks great and he's smiling and he actually lets you take a photo with him. And I see a lot of these private signings where the athletes don't even look at you. You hand the card over and they just sign and hand it back. And
Yep. And to be completely honest, that happens a lot, and I'm sure it's happened with Ricky. One thing that is one thing that I noticed about this particular signing is it's a small local card store, It's not a big, huge conglomerate. It's not the National. It's not the Chicago Sports Spectacular or some other massive event that has a whole bunch of promoters there and who knows who else's eyes are on it. Because everything about those is all about a la carte, right? You don't get a photo unless you pay $100, sort of thing. And Rickey in this smaller environment, I think, was much more open. He knew that there was a big group of us there from this Rickey Henderson collectors group on Facebook. I'm one of the admins of that, so it was really cool for the 20 plus of us that were there to get a special moment with him and take a group photo, let alone obviously an individual photo. But yeah, he took his time. His autograph is just timeless. It's there. There's that photo. Yep. So that those are some massive collectors right there. Um, and yeah, just was really laid back, was engaging. We were making him laugh as much as he was making us laugh. So if nothing else, in the future, I'm going to continue to do these kind of smaller signings like this because it just makes it that much more fun. So
That's great advice. I've always avoided. First of all, I'm a big believer in never meet your heroes.
yep,
But if I certainly wouldn't want to at the National, and I appreciate that a lot of people do, which is fine, um, because it feels like it's just a manufacturing line of, okay, you move forward. Here's my card, thank you. But yeah, I never considered, because I live in Maine, and there's like one big hobby shop, and there's not really any signings there. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I said it best to one of my friends at that signing. I'm like, those bigger shows are transactional. This felt more like relationship driven, like relational. And we all kind of walked away with it like, yeah, I mean, and just having that time, and for him to his the time that he gives to every autograph and really listening to how we want it, let alone obviously what color pen or whatever else, but like sometimes describing the art piece that he's signing. It's just not a piece we want his autograph on. We want him to actually know about what he's signing, because some of the stuff he's never seen before. And he's engaged in that. He's very, interested in that. And his comments when he's signing it are, really, really cool. So very, very cool experience for sure.
is this one he signed for you then, or did you have this one before?
No, this is baby Rickey. This is 1982 Mizuno game use cleat. 1982 is the year he set the all-time single season stolen base record of 130.
130.
And also caught for a number of or set the record for number of caught stealing, I believe, at 42. So
Hmm.
I mean, 172 opportunities. I mean, just to get on base that much is just insane. Um, so that one was signed. Best wishes, Rickey Henderson. His autograph has really changed since then. So I actually love having early autographs to kind of his prime autographs to his later year autographs. He has a completely different looking autograph if he's standing up. So you kind of learn this over the years, all these different nuances. But that early autographs, those are some of my favorite. But yeah, I actually got that in an auction a couple years ago, and by far and away one of my coolest pieces. I'm a huge Mizuno fan. Actually, this kind of sweatshirt that I'm wearing, it's got like some Mizuno branding from the early '80s. They actually made a shoe called the Rickey Henderson Pro.
Nice.
So anything Mizuno, kind of going back to Little League, anything that had those bright green Mizuno batting gloves back in the '90s, that was what everyone was wearing. So yeah, that shoe means a lot to me.
And this is his more modern
Yeah,
signature here.
that was last Saturday at the card shop. So it's and that's super cool, by the way. So that green paint pen that I use is the same color as those bright green Mizuno batting gloves that I used to wear. So that's why I chose that color, and it just pops on that 2020 Stadium Club Chrome Refractor. So, but yeah, all the curvatures and stuff in his name. Again, he just really, really takes his time. If you look about how people are signing autographs today,
Yeah.
and then you go and look at Rickey's and how timeless it's been, really, since 1979 all the way to 2023, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. I have two Ricky autographs. These aren't mine. These are Kent's. I have a 80, was it 83 Diamond Kings, Donruss Diamond Kings, or was it
Okay.
82? 83. I have that one autographed, and then I have the 79 TCMA autographed.
Nice.
That's should be back from PSA DNA this week or next week. So
Yeah, that was his Ogden A's minor league card. So that's cool.
yes,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Speaking of his minor league cards, what's his most desired minor league card?
His 1977 Chong is what it's called, after Frank Chong. It's actually right here.
Yeah,
So yeah, black and white. It's not pretty. Every single one is always off centered. This actually has super sharp corners. It's pretty remarkable. Misspelled his name. A lot
yep.
of you'll see a lot of times where Rickey's misspelled. Actually, even like today, which is amazing to me. But yeah, Modesto A's. And so it's a blank back. Again, nothing fancy, but super rare. It's actually one of the rarest minor league cards of any player, of any sets, because this is really early for minor league cards. So yeah, that is considered a grail. I use that term grail for Rickey Henderson collectors, for sure. And yeah, I was lucky enough to get that years ago. I think in 2000 actually is when I was able to finally get my hands on one. So, and there's only been literally a handful, it seems like, that have actually been for sale. So it's a tough one for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed, first of all, there are on the PSA Pop Report, there are 39 that are graded.
Yep,
Ever.
sounds about right.
And 2 that are autographed. So I notice that you don't have a lot of graded cards, or it doesn't seem like it. You certainly don't show a lot of them. Do you grade
Yeah.
any cards?
I don't. I've never graded a card. I don't even know the process to grade a card, and I've only bought a handful of graded cards, and it frustrated me that I had to buy them graded. So, um, it's just my personal belief that it's very subjective. I am a collector. I am not a seller. So, if I was a seller, sure, it might make more sense to get some graded and then sell them. But as a collector, if I'm happy with the card and it passes my eyes, that this is the only grade that I need, my own eyes. I don't need someone else to tell me that they like the card that I have. I can see that I like the card that I have. And instead of
I love
spending
that.
the money on grading, I'd much rather go buy Rickey Henderson stuff that I don't have,
Yep.
because grading's not cheap. So that's just kind of the philosophy I've always carried. But if nothing else, if I were to send into a card, it would be, if I ever question something for like authentication purposes, I wouldn't even care about the grade, but I would send it in to maybe get authenticated. But yeah, no, I get it. Some people, that's the only way they go, and that's great. So I totally see the other side too. It just, that's what's great about the hobby. We can all do it our own way and have just as much fun.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I would say 98% of my collection is ungraded. I do some. I'd like to get some big autographs authenticated, like my '89 Upper Deck Griffey there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it's actually really hard to go to shows now because, frankly, everything in the case is graded.
Yep.
And
At a
most
big
people
show.
don't have Rickey Henderson stuff out anyway, unless it's the 1980 rookie card. And of
Yeah.
course, they're going to have every PSA grade of that they have out. So it's kind of frustrating for someone who's not in that world. And then even if I did find something that I liked and it was graded, internally I know I'm paying a premium for that, when I'd be just as happy to have it raw. So I know I'm fighting an uphill battle in that world, but that's what like eBay and stuff is for. I can find just as much raw stuff on that. So,
What are your saved searches on eBay? What are you looking for?
oh my gosh, I scroll on my save searches. It's funny. I always go 3 years back. So for example, obviously it's 2023 for a couple more weeks. So I have all my 2020 searches, all my 2021, 2022, and 2023 searches in there. We talked about Rickey being misspelled. So, I have Rickey with an E, Rickey without the E. Um, and, and so, yeah. And then I kind of do it almost by, what's the word I'm looking for? Brand. So, Henderson tops 5-star, Rickey Henderson tops tier 1, so that's that sort of thing. But yeah, it's It's long, but that's okay.
I'm sure.
I'm sure eBay loves it.
Yeah. Do you collect anything other than Rickey?
No. So in the 90s, during high school, I did was smart enough, luckily, to collect a little bit of Jordan. So I have some really good Jordan stuff in the 96 to really probably 94 to 98 realm. Um, and I have a Jordan like rookie sticker, for example. So a little side collection of Jordan, but no, it's been Rickey forever. So uh, definitely, I've definitely found that niche.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy played for 25 years, so if nothing else, that's actually helped the collection last and go as long as I have, because I mean, he literally covered the late 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And some of those, of course, were the biggest boom of cards and production and everything else. So I guess I'm fortunate in some ways to live in this era of card collecting, and then following a player that's played longer than anybody else in most recent memory. So you put those two things together, and it's pretty easy to have a pretty sizable collection just by the sheer amount of Rickey stuff that's out there. And when you play in New York and you play in California, those are massive markets. So I mean, just all the regional stuff and opportunities that were created in those markets. There's just stuff from coast to coast, literally. So it gets vast.
Yeah. How many Rickey Henderson cards do you have? Not items, just cards.
So I couldn't tell you an exact number because I always do it by items. I know I have at least 4,500 items, and most of those are cards. So I mean, 4,000 cards probably of that pretty easily. You know, if you consider every item on the walls and everything like that, there's a lot of stuff on the walls. So, but yeah, it all started with cards. It's always been cards. I'm not one of those because it frankly is daunting to even think about going into like tcdb.com and starting to earmark every single card. I, it's really irrelevant to me. I just never get caught up in that. People ask me all the time, like, how many of this do you have? How many of that do you have? I'm like, I, I don't know. Cause I just don't take that time. And it was really, and then, so the next question that's people always kind of ask me is, well, how do you know what you don't have? And it was really easy in the 80s and 90s, and at least up to the mid 90s, that every picture was unique. I would memorize the front of cards, the back of cards, kind of like I even described what I did with 1987 Tops. I mean, I did that with every Henderson card. I would study it. I would look for what's the verbiage on the back, what was the saying that they said about Rickey. So when I would go to a card show, super easy to rifle through, 500-600 Rickey cards, and within a minute and a half, say I got them all. And then of course everything changed as more and more production came out, and so going all the way to present day. Now it's luckily I have systems, right? I can go back and look at eBay search history. I keep every email of every card I've won since 1998, when I was on eBay. So I reference things like that a lot. I take photos of everything. So that's another way. And to me, that's actually my favorite way of doing it. Every time I get a new item in the mail, I document it. And I've been doing that for several years. So you put all that together, and now I have like an actual picture album of my items. And so, yeah, it's a challenge, especially with the world of today where they use one of like 6 different Rickey photos on every product, and everything looks
Yeah.
the same other than a border. So I've learned and really narrowed my niche these days to getting the base card of basically everything that comes out. And then I might go after like a green parallel, because I love the color match Oakland stuff. But other than that, then I don't need anything else from that set. Gone are the days I'm trying to get every parallel, because that's not possible, or every autograph, or every even insert, because a lot of that stuff is really kind of bores me these days, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's Mario Alejandro on Twitter who's a big Jose Canseco super fan, and he
Yeah.
laments that fact too, that it's like 3 photos that these companies are using of Canseco for his ultra modern cards. It's
Yep.
crazy.
It's
Uh,
ridiculous. I mean, Rickey played for 25 years, and we can't find more than 6 photos out there? Like,
right.
what's happening?
Sorry, is this is it's small, but is this Mark McGuire here?
No, so, you actually can probably see it right over my shoulder right here, but that is the, uh, Provision set that Terry Smith made for 91 Fleer, the famous Provision inserts. And that is a Terry Smith artist proof. So that is the full image of what the Rickey is that he created. He signed it, and Rickey signed that.
Uh,
Super unique piece because Terry Smith only makes about 15 artist proof. I believe he keeps 10 for himself. Or no, I said that backwards. He keeps 5 for himself, and then 10 became available. So
hmm.
super rare piece, but that's an epic insert.
Where do you find a Rickey Henderson skateboard?
Where do you find a skateboard? Well, you have it commissioned.
Uh,
So there was an artist on Instagram. His name is Aaron Hill. He happened to post and that's also over my shoulder.
yep.
And he happened to post, I forget which one it was. Oh, it was Bo Jackson. It was 86 Tops Bo Jackson. And I probably flipped back and forth on his page like 7 times thinking, is that a skate deck? Like, did he paint Bo on a skate deck? And of course, it caught my eye because I'm a big Bo Jackson fan too at the Royals. Um, and I direct messaged him within seconds and said, "Have you created others of these?" He created a Cal Ripken Jr. at that time. I think he was working on Griffey. I think he had done a Don Mattingly. And I said, "Well, what about a 1980 Tops Rickey Henderson?" And this was, I think, pretty close to Christmas time. And my brother actually ended up getting it for me as a Christmas gift. So Aaron commissioned that, and yeah, it is unbelievable. You obviously can't tell from the distance of the camera, but the detail on that, if you were to slice the 1980 Tops card exactly where it is, that is exactly how he painted that on that deck to like
Hmm.
the pixel. It's
Amazing.
absolutely incredible.
So I'm just going through your photos here that you sent me. It's it's a staggering collection.
Yeah,
I love
it's
this. You got another 80 tops. Is this a carpet?
Yeah, so that is actually a rug. Yeah, so, I got 2 of them. I got
Too,
the
yeah.
1980 tops, and then it's the back of the 1980 tops on the other one, and, there was a, print shop, on Etsy who was able to, I think it's called subliminal printing, basically able to dye it onto a white mat. So that's actually a picture of my card that I sent them, and
Wow.
then yeah, they do a high res scan and off we go. So unfortunately, that company sold off that equipment, so they're not able to do them anymore. Because I get asked all the time, like, "Hey, can I get one? Where did you go with that?" So it's kind of heartbreaking because I would love to get a lot more of those done too. But yeah, you'll see in the room, it's very much art driven on the walls. Like I said, over really the last couple years, cards in and of themselves have kind of been boring to me, at least the mainstream stuff. So I've really found a niche in custom artwork, art pieces, custom cards. I have an entire display case over here of just one of one unique Rickey Henderson cards, all of which I've worked with artists on exactly what I want, or they've made something, of course, that I've bought. But others I've commissioned with, ideas in my head, but then they put it together. That stuff excites me a lot. And so to be able to showcase art within the room is really fun. And we're looking at a picture right now, that whole kind of custom 1980 frame that I had built specifically for Tops 2020. That is kind of what really made card art take off too, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone's at home. This set comes out. Tops had never done it before. And I'm so lucky that Rickey was chosen as one of the subjects because knowing that I love the art side of it, I was hooked. And I haven't stopped getting art cards really since then. So I give a lot of credit to Tops and those 20 artists for kind of kickstarting an entire new era of what is card art and what can these artists do that frankly are a lot better than what the main manufacturers can do, because these artists are personalizing it. I can get anything that I want with any image that I want. There's no two custom cards I have that are the same, and almost 95% of them are all different photos. That's what I love. And you'll never ever be able to get that from Topps or Panini or anybody else.
Love that. So why don't you show me your favorite cards? You said you've got one from each year of his playing career.
Yeah, I thought it'd be
Right?
fun to, since he played from 79 to 2003. We already kind of talked about, the 70s is going to be this Chong.
Yep.
So Rickey's first ever card, definitely considered like, again, a grail. So I love that one. And then if we're going to just jump right into 1980, I actually have two. I'm going to cheat with the 80s. But you got to go, of course, with the rookie. So yes, see, there you go. Put that bad boy up there. Beautiful. So yeah, no surprise, mine's raw, but I mean,
Yeah.
really good shape. I actually have 50 of these, all in pretty good shape. That's one thing that's really nice about living in the Midwest. Is I don't have the East Coast and West Coast frenzy of collectors who are all after Rickey Henderson. I'm in a market where if I had Bo Jackson or George Brett growing up, or Frank White, I could trade those and get Rickey Hendersons. And so I could get rookie cards, $15. No one cared. They're like, sure. You mean you'll give me George Brett's and Bo Jackson rookies for this? I'm like, yeah, all day long. So it really worked out in my favor as a kid. 1987 Topps. Obviously, this is not the card, but this is a very special card. I actually want to take a moment to talk about this.
Yeah.
So 1987 Topps. Again, at this point, I didn't even know Rickey ever played for the A's before the Yankees. I only knew him as a Yankee. I have grown, obviously, to absolutely just love this set from the jump. It's funny because some people say it's the ugliest set of all time. But yeah, I just think it's timeless. But again, like I mentioned, that Christmas morning, that gift that I got changed my hobby, I guess, forever. That moment in time. And my dad passed away in 2014, and so I worked with an artist, Matthew Lee Rosen, who's known for his card art that has gum. It's not real gum; it's painted gum. But he infuses kind of that look and feel on these junk era cards, basically. And so what I had him do is on the back, he has a picture of my dad. So I wanted in that gum type look. It even looks like it has like the wax from gum. I mean, it's an incredible like way that he does that. So I wanted to honor my dad in a framed card, of course, with that iconic 1987. So Dad would be super proud if he were able to see that.
That's really cool.
So that's the 80s.
Before we finish the 80s, though, my
Yeah.
favorite Rickey card from the 80s has to be, is it 82, where it looks like he's about to take off in a steal?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. 82 Topps. It is by the one of the best action shots ever, right? So if we think about Topps, the first 3 years, 1980, iconic card. They just absolutely nailed it. Great image. He's batting, lead off, awesome colors, amazing. Then you get to 1981 Topps, and it might be the ugliest Rickey Henderson card I've ever seen in my life. So just a profile picture. It looks like he just, I don't know, woke up, as far as I'm concerned. So then you get to 1982, and boy, did they redeem themselves. So really, I've always said it's kind of a roller coaster those first couple of years with Topps. Because even today, if people ask me what's one of my least favorite cards, I would say it's 1981 Topps. So yeah, 82 though, incredible. Absolutely love it with the pink hockey sticks. So there it is. Yep. It's awesome.
I love that one.
So I actually, I don't have a picture of it that I sent you, but I actually have a mosaic of the 1982 Topps card made out of sports cards. So there's an artist that makes 11 by 17 card mosaics. John English is his name, out of California, and he made me a 1982 without the signature, so I still call it a blacklist. But it's a mosaic, completely made out of sports cards, and it looks, just like the 1982 Topps. I'll have to send you a photo. It's pretty remarkable.
And that's one I did a video on the blacklist. It's 82, right?
Yep.
but you don't have that one,
I
surprisingly.
don't. Yep, I've never seen one in person. I've never held one. There's a couple guys in my Rickey Henderson Facebook group that have them. There's one guy that's got two. He actually got one signed, and a green Sharpie, which was is
That's
very
awesome.
unique. So yeah, super cool. But yep, never had the opportunity, couldn't afford it, even if it came out today. So I've let that ship sail. But that's why I actually got the art piece done, because I think it's just as unique, and it's
For
one
anybody
of one,
watching,
even more rare.
oh yeah, that's awesome. For anybody watching who isn't aware of the blacklist, what can you explain it? I'm sure you can better than I can.
From what I understand, there was like A, B, and C sheets from Tops, and if it was a C sheet, there was obviously a printing error where they ran out of black ink, and on a very limited amount of sheets before they figured it out, where literally all the black tones of the 1982 card are gone. So there's no Henderson autograph. There's no black around the frame. There's no black around like the image of him, and no shadowing or whatever. Anywhere where there was black, it's basically missing from that card. So it looks pale, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, how many are out there? Nobody knows, but not a ton.
Yeah, as an autograph collector and a Hall of Fame autograph collector, I really don't like facsimile signatures on cards, and you see those a lot on vintage cards. And I want to have a real autograph, and they look bad. Like you can see my Koufax from '56 has a facsimile signature. Let me get that straight
Right.
for you. And the real signature on
Yep.
there. It's
Right.
and of course, the Tops didn't know that people were going to want autographs on cards.
Sure.
Uh, but getting the blacklist card with a Rickey real autograph would be amazing.
Yeah, the gentleman in our group has got one. He actually got it signed in green too. So it's a green Sharpie, I presume. And yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely incredible. So super unique for sure.
Okay,
So
90s.
to go into the 90s, that was tough, by the way, because the 90s, especially the late 90s, have some of the coolest inserts and shiny bling that we've ever seen. Way better than today's stuff. But I went more early 90s, geez, I can't talk, early 90s with the first shiny bling that we've ever seen. And that was with the 93
Uh,
refractor.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when this thing came out, not only was the design green, basically, which was so cool for Rickey, so it pops with his yellow. That's a spring training jersey, I believe. But just the colors of this with Rickey's uniform colors. I mean, this card was a match made in heaven, and no one probably knew it at the time. But no one knew what refractors were. I am convinced that I sat in card stores and watched these things be thrown away because people didn't know to differentiate them at the time. And yeah, I mean, this is a super high dollar card these days. And yeah, just look at that shine, just awesome. So I thought that's a great way to represent the 90s as a whole. But man, that was tough to pick, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that card. So then we get into the 2000s, or we'll just say 2000, 2010. This one I picked, well, let's just show it first. So Boston Red Sox. Wow. Did anyone even know that Rickey played for Boston?
I did.
So this is the 2002 Donruss Elite throwback threads, and with a sticker Rickey Henderson autograph and just a plain napkin relic. So, I mean, and it's numbered out of 100, so it's not like it's crazy rare, but it's pretty rare. The reason why this is special to me is because Rickey started in 1979. It took until 2002 for a certified autograph to come out on a card. And this is the first ever card. And it was a redemption card. So this is the first card ever with Rickey Henderson's autograph on it. And we had to wait until 2002 with the Boston Red Sox in order to get it.
Wow.
So, but super cool because now everything's autographed. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a thing now. It's like a common.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what kickstarted it all. And to this day, I obviously will never forget it, because I lost my mind when I saw it. And back then, like I'm probably a little too proud that I really like on card autographs. There's some sticker autographs that I really like, but I'm primarily kind of snotty around on card.
Me too.
But this you know, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And in fact, at this time, it was so new. I was like, is that on card? Like, I didn't know what sticker versus on card even meant. So, so yeah, super, super fun. So 2010 to 2020, a lot has gone on in that time frame as well. But I went with one of the most iconic now parallels with 2011 Topps
Diamond.
Hope Diamond. And yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. A fantastic Rickey photo. I love retro Rickey. So anytime he's wearing number 35 with those original A's jerseys, just absolutely stunning. Yeah, I mean, this thing literally can light up a room. And to make it even a little bit more special, I'm not sure if it'll come through, but
What's
number
a 60?
1 of 60. So first one off the line, number 1. I love those sort of things. I call them bookends. If you have the first one or the last one, and somehow in my collection over the years, I have a lot of those. I wasn't seeking them out. It just kind of happened. I did seek this one out, but that's pretty cool. And then if I have to go with 2020 to 2023, I'm going to go with the one from last week. I think this 2020 Stadium Club Chrome, which I
Killer
own
photo.
the entire rainbow of, is just magnificent. I mean, beautiful design. They didn't let the design be loud. It's very subtle. They let the photography do all the talking. And they couldn't have gone with a more iconic photo, maybe ever, especially for an A's organization. But absolutely iconic. And then obviously getting Rickey to sign it was icing on the cake. So I have the Superfractor. I have the one numbered out of 5, 12, 25, 50. And now I have that one. And that means just as much to me as the Superfractor. So there you have it. Rickey in multiple decades. You can see how much cards have changed from the beginning to now. And that's what I love about the collection, because it just spans so much time. I mean, there's going to be collections in the future that only span 4 or 5 years for players, right? And I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd be like, wow, they only play for 4 or 5 years. But the money's too good. No one's ever going to play 25 years again. I'm convinced of that in any sport, probably ever. So Rickey was the last of a generation, frankly. I think Pujols made it to 23 years or 24, so he was close. But we're just not going to see it again. The money's too good. Injuries obviously happen, so it's fascinating to go back and look at all the cards. Though, as you flip through the binder, you're just like, wow, watching technology change, the shift to parallels. I mean, that's like I have the full history for several years, and so that's unique. It's fun.
I'm a big Carl Yastrzemski collector, and he played for 23 years. And for me, it's easier because there wasn't mass production. There weren't thousands of his cards every year.
Right.
So from 60 to 80, there aren't very many cards of his. But then from 81 through 84, there's a lot. And of course, he retired after 83. But
well, yeah, and we're fortunate too, where like we don't have to battle on which one is Rickey Henderson's rookie card, right?
Right.
I mean, players today, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, you have 97 different rookie cards over 2 years. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
So no one argues about 1980 Topps rookie. That's for Rickey. So because that would have been. I'm not sure if I would have lasted as long as I have in today's world, because it's out of control with that stuff.
Yeah, and there's a minor controversy with the Yastrzemski rookie, because he didn't actually play in 1960, but his rookie card is from 1960. So some people say it's his pre-rookie card, it's his XRC.
Nice.
I got actually, not that this video is about me, but I'm very excited that I
sure.
Wow, what the hell did I do with it? Oh, here it is. My desk is a mess right now. Just got this in the mail today. Yastrzemski's autographed.
Nice.
On his rookie. Yeah.
That looks really nice.
Yeah, really excited to have that.
I have a mail day. I haven't even opened it myself, but it's a white box. Isn't that fun? There's a regional baseball in here from the San Diego Padres when he set the all-time runs record, and they made a limited edition ball to celebrate that. And I just finally got my hands on that, and he got that record in 2001. So things are hard to find. And regional stuff I've learned over the years is extremely difficult, especially for someone in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So the amount of like here's one. This is a California Highway Patrol card from 1996. And so the CHP would
Chips.
go to, yeah, chips. They would go to schools and everything else and talk about safety. And they would bring cards from the Padres. The A's have a set. The Giants have a set. And I'm sure they did it for football too. But as they met with these kids or whoever they're in front of, they would hand them, I believe, a single card out of the set. So the fact that these were handed to children, then they had to survive that, right? So yeah, these are really, really, really rare. You just don't find them in great condition. But yeah, it's that regional stuff is tough, but I love finding it. I love the hunt. Um, I've been at this obviously now, let's just call it since 1987, and I relish and really like to think about what else is out there that I haven't even ever seen before, right?
Mm.
I mean, we're in this Rickey group that has 1,200 members on it in Facebook, and we see stuff, it seems like fairly regularly, where somebody's like, I've never seen that before. Thank you so much for sharing it. And just how much more of that is out there. Cause I have a feeling it's vast, which is mind blowing to me that we can have this many people from all over. I mean, and there's some huge East Coast and West Coast folks in that group where they're like, yeah, we've never seen that before either. It's like, wow, like really? So it's like you just untap a whole new area of the hobby every time you see that stuff posted. So it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. Give me a card that that has eluded you. Have I already asked this question? I don't think I have, right?
No, I mean, phew, there's a lot. Some of those 90s inserts like precious metal gems I don't
Mhm.
have, but like super raves I do. They're out of 25, 1998, which in 1998 and out of 25 is crazy. Um, I have all the
It's
select
funny
sort of.
how it's not that crazy anymore, right? Because
Oh
out of
yeah,
25,
exactly.
there are 100. There's like 1,000 different
Right.
cards that have out of 25 every year.
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, and one of my pride and joys is the 1996 select certified mirror gold, mirror blue, mirror red of Rickey. So they only made 30 of the gold, 45 of the blue, and 90 of the red. And in 1996, a card that, and they're not serial numbered because they didn't know what they were doing back then. But the print run on those mirror golds is 30, and people were losing their minds. Like, what do you mean? And that was the first time. That was the modern start of parallel cards and then limited print runs. And now we can see where it's taken us. But it all started with that set. Prior
Did
to
you send
that,
me
you
those
won't
in the
find
picture?
anything like that. I didn't,
No.
but I certainly can.
No. Okay,
Um,
you did a video tour of your room, which we're not going to be able to get to right now, but excuse me. Hopefully, I'll remember to link it in my description of this video. So if the viewers are going down and they're looking for it and it's not there, it's because I'm forgetful, not because you forgot to send it to me, because you definitely sent it to me.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I say obviously behind me right now is just a corner, but there are multiple walls. And so yeah, that video walkthrough kind of goes into detail about some of the art pieces. That big shadow box on the left there is from my wife, is actually my wedding gift. I mean, all these pieces have special meaning to me. When all this is said and done, it's never been about a specific piece. At least it hasn't for me. There's a lot of stuff I'll just frankly forget about in terms of cards and all that. What I won't forget is the relationships along the way, working with every single one of these artists to create something. I thrive and love the process. I love watching something being made. A lot of these artists will actually show me the process,
Hmm.
and I just love that. Those are the things that I will take away. And again, spreading Rickey cheer every single day. That's something that at the end of the day, to me, that should be the legacy, right? If I can just be an advocate for everything that Rickey accomplished and show it through some of the pieces that I own, cool. But yeah, I've never been about, the actual material side of it. Again, that's why the numbers don't even, I just don't care. I'm fortunate to have three sons who are interested in cards. My oldest is a collector himself, and he knows every single story about the collection. And so I love being able to share that with them, and have them retain that information. So if and when something ever happens to dad, it'll be in great hands with them. They can keep what they want. They can do whatever they want with the rest of it. And yeah, it's been an awesome ride. I'm at the point in my collection life that I am content. I've accomplished absolutely everything I've ever wanted to do, and then some. Some things I never thought I would be a part of, I've done. Um, I'm in Rickey Henderson's biography book. I mean, there's only one colored picture in there of a collection, and it's mine. Like, that, saying that out loud is crazy to me. Like, how did that happen? Um,
That's wild.
and so, I mean, yeah, we're linked in forever. I mean, I'm in a book, and all about his life. And it tells stories about me and my son meeting him at Field of Dreams in 2013. I mean, so it's just wild where things have gone. I never thought I'd go to California for a signing, and that happened just last week. So everything's happened for a reason, I guess. And again, I'm just blessed to be on this ride. But I don't. If I didn't get another card forever, I'm good with. I mean, I'm good, right? But yeah, cards still come every week. It seems like so. Uh, but
Talk to me more about ending up in his book. How did that happen?
Because of my sharing on Twitter, the author of that book, Howard Bryant,
Hmm.
um, reached out to me. He sent me a message saying, "Wow," he goes, "You're clearly a fan." He goes, "I'm in the middle of writing this book, but I think there's an opportunity where I kind of want to delve into the fan side of Rickey Henderson." And so, yeah, he just reached out to me, and I honestly thought it was bogus. I'm like, what? Because I obviously had no idea behind the scenes there's being a book written, or yeah, being another biography written on Rickey. Um, because the last one that ever been done was an autobiography in 1991. So at that point, it was the only book on Rickey by John Shea that went up to 1991 and breaking the stolen base record. But then it ends, right? And so Howard took about 5 years, I believe, of research and wrote this book from, baby Rickey and his family in Arkansas, going all the way to Oakland, and his entire career all the way, to present day. So, because that came out, I believe, in June of 22. So it really does span his entire career. So yeah, I was just really, really fortunate to strike up a conversation with Howard. We talked for really a couple hours, a couple different interviews, and I just told him stories. And then I told him, about some of the memorabilia side of Rickey Henderson, because he never knew about that. Rickey doesn't sign bases, and yet I have a signed base, so he wanted to know more about that and how that came together. Um, and then yeah, I told him a story about taking my son to the Field of Dreams and meeting Rickey in Iowa, and that made it in the book too. So it just, and then he said, send me a photo, thinking, I mean, color photos and books are really expensive. So a lot of times you don't have a lot of color photos. And in the middle of that book, I believe there's 3 or 4 pages and just a couple images per page. And sure enough, mine's there. So when Rickey came to Kansas City, actually, for a signing in October of 22, it's the one item I brought, and was able to get out in front of him and talk to him about that photo. And that, frankly, it's 15 miles up the road, um, and had him sign that page. So super cool now to have Rickey's autograph on my picture, color picture of my collection and his biography. So again, wow. Um, cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring it up here. If I had it.
Oh, did you find an image on my Twitter account?
I found where they start talking about you.
Oh, nice.
As long as you don't mind your last name being included here,
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
because you can get to a sample. Where is this? Aha, here it is. Whoops. Bear with me. I don't know if you can see that. Can I make this any bigger? I don't think I can. Anyway, it says on Christmas Day 1987, a 9-year-old named Kent Corser received a set of baseball cards as a gift. Kent was a Midwesterner, and the Royals were his team. Who did the kid gravitate toward? Rickey. And then it talks about your collection as an adult. He finished his basement to create a 1,000 square foot man cave of steel where he kept 4,500 unique pieces of Rickey memorabilia. Green and gold tree ornament that read Rickey, and had his collection a Christmas tree from the Hendersons, Christmas card from the Hendersons with a picture of Rickey and his family. Fascinating.
Yeah, so I have a Henderson family Christmas card, which again, if you put all that together with Rickey, he's born on Christmas Day, right? So it's a Christmas Day and birthday card um, of I believe it was 19. It would have had to been 1990 because his youngest daughter is 1 or 2 in that. And yeah, pretty cool to see all the daughters and his wife Pamela. So yeah, super unique item for sure.
Very
And
cool.
then yes, there's been a lot of Christmas themed Rickey stuff that's come out over the years just because he was born on Christmas. So that same artist I mentioned who did that gum card of my dad, Matthew Lee Rosen created a gold autograph on a bright green ornament. And it's the same facsimile autograph that's on the 1980 rookie card. So it's just a really cool, fun piece that I look at all the time, not just at Christmas, 365 days a year.
That's great. Well, you've got an amazing collection and a great story, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing it with us.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the opportunity. And again, spreading Rickey to as many people who want to hear about Rickey. I'm always willing to do that.
Yeah, great. And your handle on Twitter and Instagram, I can see right there, at
Yep.
Rickey939. So if anybody wants to follow you, see your collection, because you share, I think, 4 cards every day, right?
Well, so every morning I try to share one new item to share, not new item to me, but just a new piece of the collection every single day. So I've been doing that for a little, I think over 3 years now. I have about 11 years worth of material, I think. So, but then yeah, throughout the day I'll post stuff too. But yeah, I call it, today's swag is whatever item that I'm sharing. So if you'd like to follow along, cool. And yeah, it's just fun. And again, it's part of me documenting the collection too. So, it works out really well to be able to share that with others and help me with what do I have or not have. So, it's great. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming on, Kent. It was awesome, and hope I find some other super collectors like you to interview. But you have a very unique, vast collection. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks everybody for watching.